Wow. So I have a question, and don't worry when I ask this question, you'll know who it's directed to. So when you realize it's directed towards you, don't let that cold sweat go up the back of your neck and worry. So if you're here for the first time today, would you just raise your hand? Just raise your hand. I want you to look around this room. Let's give a big round of applause. And the reason I single you out is I don't know if you realized when you came here today that what you were about to witness will change the rest of your life. I don't know. I don't know if you just heard that there's this group meeting and that you got called by a friend and said, come on over. Or maybe you did get invited by somebody, a friend who said, I want you to witness and hear from a man who created history. And that's why you're here. You just heard this song about, well, if we turned the clock back and we used a 40-year-old understanding, we might have thought that the song was about living today for an experience somewhere off in the future. That song was about being able to create heaven on earth and in your life right now and right here, no matter what you have going on. I remember walking into Dr. Anderson's home. Let me tell you how small this world is. His daughter, Larita, is here. His neighbor, Eleanor, is here. And do you know they used to attend in Warren with us at Church of Today? When I walked in and Eleanor was holding court because Steve Sealander and Ruth, I'm going to do it to you again, Ruth Stallworth, there you are, were there. Steve had invited us, had sent me a text right after the first of the year and said, there's somebody who I think we should connect with during African American History Month. I don't think you knew what you were up to, or you, Ruth. And when I walked into Dr. Anderson's home, he was seated at a table. A kitchen table. I had no idea what Steve had cooked up and had no idea what Dr. Anderson had been about. And Dr. Anderson looked at me and he said, aren't you a little nervous? You're here to talk to a felon. True story. He said, because usually when people find out that you're going to meet with somebody who's gone to jail, they get a little nervous. He said, and as you will hear him this morning in his full voice, sometimes you go to jail for the right reasons, and sometimes you're fortunate enough to go to jail with the right people for the right cause. So I don't like to script things. I ran out to by the way, there's only 8 books left. So for those who, don't leave now because you're going to miss the program. I went and got one of those books. So there's really 8 plus minus 1, the one I have in my hand. So if you don't want to run out there, you can run to me and get this one. But I just cracked the book open, Dr. Anderson, because I wanted Spirit to guide my hand this morning. Your second book that you've released. Page 134. As we arrived, throngs of policemen from in and around Albany were prepared to arrest each and every one of us and to shuttle us off to every available jail space within a radius of 50 miles. King, Abernathy, and I were selected to go to Americus. I thought, how fortunate. Americus, the place I was born and reared, my hometown. In the midst of answering a calling, he had the presence to be able to see Spirit at work. I'm going to invite all of you to hear in Dr. Anderson's own words how he answered the calling. Donnie?
In between that time and the time that I was trying to get into medical school, I went to martial science school. Now, don't you sit there and say, wait a minute, you wanted to be a doctor, you went to martial? Uh-huh. There was a policy that once you got out of the military, you had to be in an accredited school to get credit so they will pay for your education. There was no medical school at the time that I could get in, but the College of Martial Science let me in. Not only did I go to martial science school, I got that martial science degree, I still could not get into medical school. Sometimes you do what you have to do to get to where you want to go. Let me say that again. Sometimes you do the things perhaps you didn't want to do, but you had to do to get to where you wanted to go. But it's coincidental that I was able to also advance my education because Atlanta University was right across the street from the martial science school, so I could go to school at night and teach in the day and do embalming in between. Willie Joe Reese, my father's good friend, called the dean, because Willie Joe Reese now he had been on the faculty at Des Moines University, is university now. He'd been on the faculty there for several years, and he knew the dean, John B. Shoemaker. So he sent me to meet John Shoemaker. And Shoemaker interviewed me, and he saw I had these credentials. I've been teaching in martial science, etc. I got in one day, interview, examined, accepted. One day, I'm telling you, that floored me. I never looked back. Then I went back to Georgia, and I became a practicing physician. But then I saw that the patients I was taking care of could not register to vote. Albany, Georgia. Citizens that were respected, highly regarded, school teachers, preachers, could not get registered to vote. I was taking care of them as their doctor. What do you mean you can't? They will not let me register and vote. That was the beginning of what became the Albany Civil Rights Movement. I spent more time leading civil rights demonstrations to get the right to vote. Write that down. A black person, when I went there, could not get the right to register and vote. So yes, I took care of them medically, but on the civic side, it hurt me that my father and mother, respected citizens, could not get to register and vote. There are people literally from all over the United States, led by the ministers, preachers, priests. They all came to Albany, Georgia in support of my effort to get these people the right to register and vote. A man who would become one of the world leaders in civil rights, Ralph Abernathy, was my classmate in college. Write that down. I don't make this crap up, y'all. I'm telling you. Before he was a preacher, before he finished college, Martin Luther King, Ralph Abernathy did not know each other. Martin Luther King, his father was pastor of a church 1 block from the church I was attending in Atlanta. Neither one of us knew each other, but they got to the place where they knew me. And I became friends with each of them that ultimately became the royal trio that you'll see on the picture up there. Anderson, King, Abernathy became 3 best-known leaders in civil rights in that era. I practiced medicine in Albany, Georgia for 10 or 12 years, a good practice. Most doctors say, well, damn, isn't that good enough? You got a good side of practice, you got good income, you got 3 or 4 children now. No, that's not enough because the people I was taking care of could not register and vote, damn it. And to me, that's basic, that's fundamental. I don't think you can be a citizen of the United States and not be eligible to get registered and voted. So I'm saying that sometimes just doesn't need to be a spark, and the spark may be someone with a big mouth like Anderson who says, I don't care what the hell your law, we're going to get these people the right to vote. And when Martin Luther King and Abernathy did not know each other, said, well, they found out what I was doing, and I had befriended each one of them. I was a classmate of Abernathy. I was 1 block from King, and I knew his dad very well. I'm saying when they found out the trouble I was getting into, they came and brought their followers with them. And we were in jail when we got a call from whoever the the producer of Meet the Press. All of you have heard of Meet the Press. They came to me and said, we want you to be on Meet the Press. I can't come out of jail. Abernathy and I were in jail together. No, we came in here to stay in jail until these people changed, till they gave us the right to vote. So it went back. But then Martin got the three of us together. He said, listen, Andy and Ralph, being on Meet the Press is too important to pass up the opportunity. The world sees and hears Meet the Press. One of us got to go. I'm not going, Ralph. I'm not going. King says, I'll tell you what. Here are three grown men in jail. He says, I got 3 straws. We were drawing straws in jail. The short straw had to go out of jail to go Meet the Press. Who you think got the short straw? He sent Abernathy, King stayed at home. Anderson, they threw out of the jail. And there was a team of people who were there to take me to New York. They kept me up all night prepping me for the questions and answers from Meet the Press. So the message that we were trying to convey, we are not criminals. We are seeking justice, equal rights, the right to vote. That was the message.
Dr. Martin Luther King, Dr. Abernathy, Dr. Anderson, and 6 or 7 other Negro citizens have been arrested by the Albany Police Department.
Well, in speaking, and I'm sure Dr. Anderson could deal with this much more intelligently, but I am sure that the Negro community in Albany will not be intimidated into a position of inaction or into a position of saying we will retreat.
On yesterday, when I told the chief of police that we were open for negotiations at any time, he told me that there would be no negotiations as long as we continued to protest and demonstrate. Said there would be no negotiations as long as this continued.
I think we'll go back to the city commission another time, and sooner or later, I do believe we will be heard and we will be given some just consideration. We will keep praying. We will keep singing. We will keep meeting. We will keep picketing. We will keep sitting in. We will keep waiting in. We will keep praying in. We will keep kneeling in. We will even march if necessary to see to it that our rights come where? Here. And when? Now.
I look back on that and yes, I went to jail. If you gotta go to jail for the right reason, and hopefully you go to jail with the right people. And for me to say I went to jail with Martin Luther King, Abernathy, and Rosa Parks, I'm happy to say, yes, I was in jail for the right reason. I could not at any time feel any better about the trouble that I got into that was worth getting into because of the end result. Literally thousands of people would come to those meetings, jeopardizing their jobs. Got that? These were literally thousands of people that would come to Anderson's rah-rah meetings where he was downgrading everything that was present in the rights to register and vote, and he expected us to be there and follow him. They did, by the thousands. Ask them who went to jail, was it worth it? To me, it was worth it as much as the right to breathe, the right to live, the right to own homes, the right to have a decent job, the right to be eligible for political office. To me, those were basic and fundamental rights that all of us should have, but being denied because of what? Color, race. Was it worth it? Would I do it again? Well, I'm too damn old, he said. But would I do it again? the principle is still there. There are still people in the world who have to fight to get the right to be even recognized as real people, let alone get the right to register and vote.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
I want to stand. To let me stand for a little while. I'm old and decrepit, but I ain't used up yet. I had one more thing to do, and it was to come here and today. Because if you saw that stuff, you said, that can't be real. That was stuff made up in some foreign country or in Hollywood. They made all that junk up. Ain't nobody like Anderson, Abernathy, King, and Abernathy talking about, y'all want to go to jail? No, you don't want to go to jail. Are you out of your mind? You don't want to go to jail unless you go to jail for the right reason with the right person. Martin Luther King, Ralph Abernathy went to jail with me. They were for the right reasons, defending our rights as citizens to register and vote, the freedom to worship, to be with who we want to be with, when we want to be with them. If we are denied that, we are not being treated as citizens. I got to tell you about how we came together. No, we didn't plan that. Wait a minute, did you also know that they're preachers of significant churches? I was a lowly, not even a deacon. They wouldn't let me be a deacon. They did let me be the superintendent of Sunday school for a little while. But it's not what titles you hold, it's what you do with what you had. I'm sure that there are other physicians, and for those who do not know, yes, I practiced medicine for 30 years. I was a pretty good surgeon, matter of fact. There had never been a faculty member like me in any one of the churches. Abernathy and I went to the same church in Alabama. Now, you want to know what in the world you're doing going to Alabama? You were born and raised in America, Georgia. Why didn't you just stick in Georgia? Well, Martin Luther King was one of my neighbors in Georgia. He had his hands full. So I came over here where Abernathy was pastor of a church. His hands not full. I said, why don't we get them to come together? They, wait a minute. You mean you called them to come to Albany, Georgia, when you had got all these people in trouble, all of them in jail, and you're wondering how you're going to get them out? You called them? No. Believe it or not, they called me.
Yes.
Can I come and join you? People, what I'm saying is, if you make those moves for the right reason and wind up in jail, there will be those like King and Abernathy who will come to you. They came down to Albany, Georgia. Andy, that's what they called me. Andy, what you want, Ralph? Andy, what you want, Martin? Can we join you? Wait a minute. You're a pastor in major churches. You are leaders in your communities. You tell people what to do, where to go, what they... No. We want to come with you. We know you're not a preacher. Well, I preach. But we want to come and join you because you now have found what my people need most. Citizens of this country who cannot register and vote. That's what they should have, and you out there talking about it. But you're a doctor. Well, doctors also have certain rights, certain privileges, and they treat more than the physical body. Let me say that. doctors don't stop treating your physical body, because if you do not have the right, write that down, if you do not have the right as a citizen to register and vote, you are denied the opportunity to live as a citizen in this country. Write that down, please.
All right.
Therefore, I called on them. I might have to tell you how I got to know them. I'm gonna sit down. They want me to sit down and shut up. And they said, well, who told you to go out there and do that? Well, I have a God who even tells me what to do. For those who do not know, I have never been outside of a church. I don't think my daddy held every position that you could possibly have in a church, other than be the preacher himself. Because he was, chairman of the deacon board, and he was the treasurer of the church, he was superintendent of the Sunday school, and there was never a day came when my daddy was not talking about what the church was doing for him. So when I got down to Albany and realized, my people can't register and vote, what are you going to do about it? I said, there's one place where my people who believe in the right thing to do, the right person to be, who to be with, the only place for us is the church. Thank you all for coming to church this morning. Thank you. If it's going to happen for the right reason, the best place to start is where? Brett, thank you. I was talking to my daughter, and they think that I'm crazy. Yes, I am, partially. That's all right. And my neighbor over there, I said, wait a minute, I'm not supposed to be going speaking anywhere. You don't have to speak, just go there. They got to realize that you are just another person who felt as though you were being denied everything that you were entitled to have. That is, the right to register, to vote, to worship where and when I want to. You are in an atmosphere where that is being denied. But those people who are out there protesting going to jail, well, what's wrong with going to jail? Are you kidding me? Going to jail? Are you out of your mind? Brett, thank you. You would not go to jail. And they said, did you ask Dr. King and Dr. Abernathy to come to Albany when you had 1,000 people in jail? I said, no. Would you believe they heard about that crazy man down in Albany, Georgia, having all those people going to jail talking about they got to learn how to register and vote? Do you mean to tell me that you invited them? No. Would you believe Abernathy and King called me? They already had established churches. Martin Luther King's daddy, well-known. Abernathy, well-known. Leaders in their communities. One in Birmingham, Alabama, and one in Atlanta, Georgia. They called me. Andy, I'm a doctor. Yeah, but you're down there stirring up the troops. You're out there talking about these people need to have the opportunity to register and vote. I said, but they're still human. Yeah, we brought here as slaves, but they said we could become citizens, but they keep denying. So they said, this is Abernathy and King, can we come down to Albany and go to jail with you? Are you out of your mind? Are you, would any of you call me up and say, can I go to jail with you? Come on, put your hands up. Well, for the right reason. Listen, it's not the worst thing in the world. I'm going to mention this before I sit down. We stayed in jail together. Meet the Press. All of you have heard of Meet the Press. They called the chief of police, Laurie Pritchett. Why would I remember his name? Laurie Pritchett, would you believe it or not, chief of police in Albany, was a decent man. You did not know there were decent people who were policemen in the South. Did you not know that? That one man. What he did was, when we were demonstrating, and let me let you know this also in a little book that I wrote, ministers from all of the United States came to Albany, Georgia. I didn't call those people. I didn't even know them, Brett. I didn't know. I didn't know them. They heard about the trouble I was getting their people in, because I was telling them, you got to protest. You got to picket. You might have to go to jail. And as we were marching to jail one day, one of the little soldiers stepped in front of the line. They brought a whole platoon to stop us. Stop those black people from talking about register to vote. He stepped in front of the line. He cocked his gun and stood in front of me. You know what I said? This is crazy. Don't write this down. I said to him, if you hit anybody in this line, hit me first. It scared the hell out of him. What? This man got to be crazy. He said, if you hit anybody in this line, we're just marching, requesting the right to register and vote, you will stop this line. I said to him, if you hit anybody in this line, hit me first. They knew I was crazy. It scared the hell out of that soldier. He put the gun down and stepped aside and led the line into the jail. If you gotta go to jail, people, go for the right reason. Here, I went there for the right reason. It was not any better. Maybe they fed us a little better. But what I'm saying is there is a time to make a sacrifice. I read in the Bible, there was one of our leaders. They called him Jesus, Jesus Christ. They didn't just arrest him, they crucified him so the world could see there was one who was willing to give his all to make this a better place. People, I hope that what I have done, along with Abernathy and King, has made this a better place for us, for you, and for me. Yes, I went on Meet the Press. Why it was not recorded, I don't know. However, for those who are interested, if you can find the year that Anderson was on Meet the Press, I was only doing it one time, you can get it in print. It's not in video. But the message that we sent went around the world. If you're willing to make the sacrifice, if you're willing to put forth the effort, if you're willing to give up some of your time, some of your money, give up some of the comforts of home to make this a better place, take it. Take it. I'm almost 100 years old. There are not many people from my gender that live to be 100, but I'm going to be there because I want to continue to enjoy what I have been a part of, and that is make this a better place. Not just for me, not just for Abernathy, not just for King, a better place for you and you and you and you. You can have these congregations together and enjoy each other. Share in the pluses and the minuses, the good times and the bad times. Yes, you should have the opportunity to be like those who preceded us. As a matter of fact, my mother was concerned because there was no birth certificate for me. Now, none of you can say that. Would you believe my mother was a slave? My father, I'm saying they were born and reared as slaves. I had no birth certificate. Write that down. There was no birth certificate for me because my mother was a slave. But before it was all over with, I was writing the birth certificate. There was not one for me, but I became a doctor. And I'm proud to say that there are now 5 doctors in my immediate family where there had not been none. There had been N-O-N-U-N-N, none. There are now 5, and because somebody said, you cannot make a difference because I happen to be born of a slave. I happen to be black. I happen to be in a different denomination. I happen to be in a different church. I happen to be different. No. I cannot be denied the same opportunities as everybody else who's born and reared in this country. I'm going to sit down and shut up in a minute. My daughter said, why don't you just shut up? Well, put it this way. If I don't say it, who will say it for me? I do believe there is a reason that I was planted where I was, and I did not control it. The chief of police, Laurie Pritchett, you will say, well, wait, that was years ago. How can you remember the name of the chief of police? The chief of police, when he sent his troops out to stop us from marching, and I told that one, if you hit anybody, hit me first. That scared the hell out of him. This boy got to be crazy. But Laurie Pritchett said to his policemen, lock them up for demonstrating. And incidentally, there were ministers from all over the United States that came to Albany, Georgia, to join us. They were waiting for somebody to say, you don't have to live like that. There is a better place, a better way. Non-violently, there is a better place, better way to get there. So if you look at some of the books that they wrote about us, there were ministers that literally came from all the United States, all little Albany, Georgia, because they say those are people who are entitled to certain privileges. Yes, they were brought here as slaves, they're born of slaves, but they were brought here for a purpose. God does not let things happen without there being a reason. I'm not going to preach now. I'm not a preacher, but I got to believe. What I'm going to say, accept whatever it is you have. Write that down. You didn't decide how you're going to be born, did you? You did not decide who your parents were going to be. Well, you didn't realize what civilization you're going to be. You didn't know you're going to be in southern Georgia. No. Whatever it is that God wanted you to have, you had it. Now, but he also said, take full advantage of it, not only to help yourself, but to help others. Make this a better place. I'm glad you invited me, because my neighbor, and by the way, she called me every day, come by, are you all right? Are you all right? Well, what do you mean, I'm all right? Oh, no, is there anything you need, anything you want? In other words, my wife of 60 years, and I was like with 5 children, 3 of them are doctors, but I'm saying that because of the way my wife took care of me and our family, it drew others. When my wife died, my neighbors called, are you all right today? Do you need anybody to come and fix your dinner? So I'm well taken care of. Not because of what I do, but what they did for me to set the example. So what I'm saying is this. Don't look for anyone to do anything for you. Do for others, it will automatically come back to you. Write that down. I read that somewhere in the Bible. Is there a preacher in the house? For what you do for others, will come back to you.
Absolutely.
Now, I said to my daughter, I said, I'm not ready to give a speech. She said, no, you don't have to give a speech. They just want to know who you are. They want to know, how can you be crazy enough, a practicing physician, with 3 of your children becoming physicians, you're all doing well. You're talking about going to jail? I say, yeah, there is a better cause. It's the cause that you are entitled to as citizens, human beings, children of God.
Amen.
People who are free to worship wherever, whenever they want to. The opportunity to do the things that everyone else who claims to be a citizen can do. So no, I did not come here to give a speech, but also I wasn't planning on going to jail. But listen, this is the absolute truth. three of us now, Martin Luther King, Ralph Abernathy, and William Allen, in jail together. You know, a doctor and two preachers, leading preachers in the community, and they in jail. Well, if it's good enough for them, if they had a reason, listen, they had a reason to go to jail. They went to jail for you.
Dr. Anderson, I have a question
Thank
for
you.
you.
Yes.
All right, here's
First
the
of
question.
all-
Brett's going to ask me a question now.
So first of all, this isn't a question to you. Do you see what you see?
Yes.
The gift that you and all of us are experiencing right now. Think of this. I don't know when you were born. I have no idea when you were born, but imagine that you were told in 2025, on April 27th, you would be in the room with the man who stood tall with King and Abernathy and changed not just Albany, but the world. You're here on divine appointment as well. So we're here with Reverend Wilma and Reverend Glenn. Both are educators. Wilma was the deputy superintendent of Detroit Public Schools. Glenn is the vice president of Oakland University. They have a passion for young people. You shared with me when you came in and we were in the lobby, you said, I'm here so the next generation can hear what happened.
Yeah.
Glenn, you've got a question for Dr. Anderson?
First off, Dr.
Yes.
Anderson, thank you for being here. This is a blessing and a treat at the same time.
My pleasure.
Going through your book, you said that life has many contradictions.
That's what's that?
You said in your book, life has many contradictions.
Yeah.
What did you mean by that?
You can make of your life what you want to make of your life, but also seek before you make that part of your life, seek what is the best thing, not for myself, but for those who surround me. Yes, I was a physician. I was a surgeon. I was a pretty good surgeon too, by the way, y'all. I don't do any more operations. But what I'm saying is, what I did for them, I went back to rural Georgia to practice medicine. I made house calls in the middle of the night where there were no electric lights. They had candles and they had those lamps, kerosene lamps, and they had little to live by. Did I ever deny them the opportunity to get medical care? No. I never stopped to ask, do you know how you're going to pay me this $3 for a house call in the middle of the night? No. I'd never ask. When I said, let's get together and change it for everybody that lives in and around Albany and America, Georgia. When I said that, if you look at some of the videos, you will find the churches were filled with people, with hundreds of thousands of people that came every night of the year to see this man who was a preacher. No, he ain't a preacher. He just sounds like a preacher. They say he's a doctor. But what is he doing? They're talking about civil rights. He says that his obligation to the people that he served was not limited to giving them an aspirin tablet. It was also an obligation he had to help them to get the best that there is available for them, because they are human beings and they are allegedly citizens of the United States. So you are entitled to anything and everything everybody else. It's not limited.
Wilma?
You know, I did a little bit of research, Dr. Anderson.
Uh-oh.
And, yeah.
Uh-oh.
Had to find out William. You know, I talked about that earlier, being a protector, and that was your path and your prophecy, to be named William before you came to this space in the human form. So I'm a granddaughter of a Baptist minister, and I just got to lay the foundation for you and come from a significant line of ministers. My father-in-law was a minister. But I got to share this with you. When I heard that you were coming, I set out to find this picture that was always prominent in my in-laws' home in Atlanta, Georgia. There's a picture of Dr. King and a number of people sitting at the kitchen table. And I'm trying to find that picture because I bet that you are in that picture seated at the kitchen table. So I just thank you for what you've done and what you are doing. And I'm inspired. I'm going to find that picture and share it with your daughter. I know that you're in that picture, Dr. Anderson. And I've heard of the mighty works that the warriors like you have done on our behalf. So William Warrior has done on our behalf. And so I'm going to find that picture. I'm inspired, and I take personal point of privilege to be named Wilma and standing next to William.
For those who do not read the newspaper daily, one of the editorial writers, I will tell you his name pretty soon, but anyway, he is constantly with me because he said, I want to make sure that it gets into the newspaper. So if you read the Atlanta Daily World and the Atlanta Constitution, one of the editorial writers heard about what trouble I was getting into. And all of you have heard of Good Trouble. Lewis, you remember him? Well, let me tell you another one of the coincidences of life. The last person came to speak for me, and by the way, Michigan State University, I can say that, and I hope I don't abuse anybody, they never acknowledged the contributions of minorities to the building of the United States. Did you know there is a month, it's called February. We acknowledge that there were many contributions that went to making this the great country that it is, if you consider it a great country. Many of us were brought here as slaves, doggone it. February was set aside as a month of the year, just 1 month out of 12, when we acknowledge the contributions that were made by the minorities who were brought here as slaves. One of them became president of the United States. So I'm saying it's not like we were not smart enough. We were not given the opportunity to do the things that we learned how to do. I'm proud that I've had the opportunity at Michigan State University, a university, I hope no one is here, they never acknowledged the contributions of ex-slaves to building of this country. Write that down. There is a place in history for each and every one of you to make a difference. Larry Pritchett, why will I always remember his name? He was chief of police in Albany, Georgia, locking us up. But he also said to his policemen, you are not to abuse them. You write that down. Do you know that a kid had been lynched in Mississippi who was black just because he was black? But this chief of police said, you are to arrest those people who are demonstrating, but you are not to abuse them. Give them a decent jail cell and give them an occasional good meal. That same one, he said to his policemen, you are not to abuse them. When things have begun to settle, this is only a couple of weeks ago now, he sent me a note. I understand that you are invited to come back down there to that hellhole where it was when you were a prisoner and I was the chief of police. I want to come and go with you. Write that down. The chief of police that locked me up for demonstrating, I want to come and go down there with you. God must have seen it. He said, you have done well because you are going back to say, I'm sorry. I want to make it better. He died on the way down. You do not have to seek revenge, people, for all the bad things that might have been done to my people here. You do not have to. God knows what you were, who you were, how you was, what you can be. Trust, please. Trust. In him, this can be a better place. Write this down. Making a better place. Making. Martin Luther King, Abernathy, Anderson, together as individuals, but look at how we changed a nation. Write that down. You don't have to have an army, huh? 3 people who said we're willing to make the sacrifices to make this a better place. Yeah, we wound up in jail. 3 reputable people, a doctor and 2 preachers of really great churches, in jail saying, we're helping to make this a better place. What I'm saying is sometimes you have to make a little sacrifice. Sometimes you have to give up some little thing, not just for yourself, but to make it a better place. Finally, I will tell you this. I practiced in Albany, Georgia, where they wouldn't even give me hospital privileges, although I was a pretty good doctor. But no, the doctor who came after I left, he sent me a note just a couple of weeks ago. He said, Dr. Anderson, I want you to know I'm practicing in the town where you practiced. He said, you know, I was elected mayor, get this now, a time when I was there, I could not even get registered to vote. He sent me a note saying, Dr. Anderson, and mind you, you can check this out now because he's still practicing already, a black doctor, called me and said, I want you to know that not only after you left and what you did, I was elected mayor, not 1 term, 2 terms, and could have gotten 3rd if I'd have wanted.
Glenn, I know you have, I was teasing with Dr. Anderson before that we had a big surprise for him.
Uh-oh.
So you want
I've had some of those.
Okay. You want to share? And so just so everybody understands how this will go, Glenn is going to share the surprise. And then we've got our message from Glenn. And then we'll do the book signing that will be out in the lobby. And we'll make sure that everybody has a chance to participate in that.
Can I sit down now?
No, we're gonna get you. Since you stood and marched, we're gonna stand with you too today. So.
Okay, I'm with you.
Dr. Anderson, we were just in awe of the opportunity to have you present here today. And when you're in the presence of greatness, you learn from it. You just sit back and you just take it all in. And when you learn, you not only take it in, but you actualize it. And so the words that you spoke many years ago and the words that you share in your books are not only food for thought, they're food for action. And so what we want to do here at Renaissance Unity is create an award in your name. And that award will speak to your journey. We want to call it the Torch Award. And we want to give it out annually to people who work to break away, to tear down cultural and systemic barriers. And I think where we're at right now as a society, where we're worried about, will we sit back and let the clock be turned back? Or will we have courageous conversations that lead to courageous actions? And so this morning, I don't know about you, but in my role, I have to stand up when others sit down. When others want to watch the TV and wonder what's happening,
Let me sit.
we have to go forward. I want you to sit just yet.
Oh, let me sit. Let me sit. I can sit
but
now.
what we want to do
Okay.
is let everybody know that the challenge is on. that anyone who's listening now should know that we're going to give out the Dr. Anderson Torch Award.
Thank you.
And so that means that we have to be action-oriented, even more so than we have been as a community. And so can you give Dr. Anderson a round of applause for being here today?
Thank you.
I will say it's a contradiction, Dr. Anderson, because we set this table up for you in the protection of you. But it's the contradiction because you set the table for us. And the thought of us rising up because you rose up is something I think we all want to take away from your message this morning. God bless you and continue you on the path of being a trailblazer and a change agent. We love you.
Thank you. Thank you.